がここにいるうちの本物のスクールスポーツのために行こうぜベイビーバンとの国は気をつけて、現実になることがありますからね。
All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue the long-standing tradition of covering Japanese boxing here on True School Sports. True School Sports, the number one source for Japanese boxing in America, from an American. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you to everybody for tuning into this video. And ayete okata. Nice to see everybody here again. Show them that love and that support and that passion that I'm sure we all have for this amazing sport of boxing. Now, I'm very excited for this fight. It's an important fight for the featherweight division. It will be November 24th out there in Tokyo, Japan. You're going to have one of the young rising stars of Japanese boxing, Mikito Nakano, the electric southpaw knockout artist, 14-0, 13 knockouts. He's finally getting his step-up fight. He's finally getting his fight where we're going to see what he's made of. He's not going to fight no more Corkin Hall cans. He's not going to fight no more undersized, chinny Filipinos. No, he's finally fighting a real competent professional in the upset-minded, very game, very strong, very formidable Rais the Beast Aleem. And look, for Rais Aleem, he's 35 years old. You know, who knows how many more chances he has left. He needs to win this fight if he wants to fight for the world title. And look, this is, in fact, an IBF featherweight eliminator. So the winner of this fight will be the mandatory for my buddy right there, my main man, 50 grand, my boy Angelo. And, you know, so let's talk about this fight, and let's talk about, you know, the potential matchups with Angelo, because the winner of this fight will inevitably get an Angelo fight at some point. So I went back and I rewatched some of the Rais Aleem's last fight against Rudy Garcia because I wanted to refresh my memory on some Rais Aleem. You know, and Rais Aleem, he's a fighter that's kind of little stocky guy. You know, nice broad shoulders. He definitely likes to close the gap. Has a good jab. Doesn't mind mixing it up on the inside. He's a good fighter. But you know, and going back and watching that fight, you know, I saw some things that I didn't necessarily like, and they're things that you could work on, but they're more like habitual things he's doing, like habits that he has. Like I noticed in that fight with Rudy Garcia that he was pulling out. Like he would throw combinations and he'd pull straight out, and Rudy Garcia would catch him on the way out. Now Rudy Garcia doesn't have the speed, the punching output, or the power of a guy like Nakano. So that right there is a red flag to me. What I like about the fight for Rais is that, because I feel like Rais and Nakano actually have similar problems. Rais Aleem has his head on the center line quite a lot, you know, so he's very susceptible to get counter punched and these kind of things. And, you know, I think his feet are a little heavy, so you can move on him. But Nakano, same thing. You know, he's a guy that likes to, like many Japanese fighters, likes to load up on his punches, keeps his head right there in the center line. So there's going to be counter punching opportunities for both guys. And I think ultimately what this fight comes down to is, you know, number one, who can impose himself on the fight more, which I think Nakano early in this fight is going to try to impose himself and be the apex predator. I feel like he's going to step to Rais Aleem and look to get him out of there early in the first 3 rounds. So Aleem has to use his experience, his know-how that he's gained all these years, you know, since turning professional to 2011, you know, over his 14-year pro career, he needs to use that experience to, I think, you know, weather that storm, build himself into the fight, and pick up on the timing of Nakano. And then once you pick up on his time, you can counterpunch him, close the gap, outwork him, make very clever exits, and just frustrate him. And maybe you could drown him late. But I think, honestly, just what I think is going to happen, I think Nakano is going to beat Aleem. I think Aleem just has too many things in terms of habits that I don't like. And I think Nakano's going to be able to outwork him. And I think he's got more firepower in terms of just punching power. So we'll see. But the good thing about it is, because Aleem is so experienced and has been there with so many guys, been professional for 14 years, only has 1 loss in 23 fights, I feel like we're going to see what Nakano's punching power really is. Because, look, even though he's done his thing, and I give Nakano a lot of credit. I like him. He's a fighter that is a favorite of mine from Japan. But Nakano is a fighter that his power has not been tested against world-level guys. Let's be real. You know, the closest thing he fought to a world-level guy is either maybe his last fight against Pedro Marquez or Hiroki Hanabusa. And those guys are not, like, top world-level guys. So we're going to see if that punch power can translate, because let's play devil's advocate here. If Nakano hits Aleem with everything he can, and Aleem doesn't do anything, and he can't stand up to the power, and he can't counterpunch him, and he can't put him on his back foot, does Nakano have an answer for that? That's what we're gonna find out, and that's got me excited. So we'll see how it goes. My prediction for the fight right now, I have Nakano getting Aleem out of there in about 8 rounds. I think he's just too. He's gonna have a little too much. He has too much firepower for him, and defensively speaking, there's just a lot of things with Aleem I didn't like when I saw when I turned on the tape. So we'll see. If he put Nakano on his back foot, that's his path to victory. But it's gonna be very, very difficult. So the winner of this fight becomes mandatory for Angelo. I'm very excited about that because Angelo is like one of my best friends in the world, and I'm a big fan and I'm part of the team. So I'm looking at this as I'm already breaking these guys down as fighters. I think Nakano is gonna win, and I think if he does win, I think the play here from the powers that be in Japan, from Mr. Honda, because this guy is a this guy's a Tekken boxing gym Mr. Honda fighter, right? And they want him to do well. I know from my travels to Japan that he is one of the most beloved young fighters in the Japanese boxing community. And they see him as a guy that can go all the way and become a champion and beat an Angelo, right? And I remember after he beat Pedro Marquez in his American debut on the undercard of Inoue versus Ramon Cardenas, they had Angelo and Nakano face off back in May before Angelo fought Kameda. And that was not by accident. I think this is a fight that they wanted all along. And look, I look forward to it if he can win. I hope he has his passport nice and ready to come to New Mexico or Las Vegas, because that's where he's gonna have to come if he wants the belt. But nonetheless, good fight. I think they're trying to use Nakano as a pawn to make Naoya Inoue's path at featherweight easier. Let me explain myself. If Nakano is to be victorious and beat Angelo, I think he's going to only defend that belt about one time. Kind of like we're seeing with Kaosuke Takami right now. He said the same thing at light flyweight. And I think he's going to defend the belt one time against an easy opponent and then move on up to 130. And he's going to leave that belt there for Inoue. And I really believe that Naoya Inoue is going to, have an easier path if Angelo's not in the way. Now, of course, I don't think that's going to happen. Listen, I like Nakano, lovely person. But listen, if you fight him, you're fighting me. We're in a war. I don't care who you are. So, with all the respect, if he does get past Angelo, we're sending him home with a knockout. And once we send him home with a knockout, maybe Inoue will come out of hiding and come to featherweight, and then we'll send him home too with a knockout. But anyway, I look forward to it. If Raees Aleem does upset Nakano, that's interesting too, because Angelo Leo and him have a lot of history. They've sparred countless amount of rounds. I know Raees Aleem's now former coach, Bobby McCrory, who I know is still involved with him. So, I'll have to match up with Bobby, a friendly matchup, with Bobby. Bobby's a great boxing mind. Bobby's a great guy, but it's just business, just boxing, So I look forward to that if he gets through it. Either way, listen, these are great fights. But I think Nakano should have the edge in this one, just because I think that Aleem defensively, there's some things to be desired. There's things to be desired. There's things to be desired there from Nakano as well. But Nakano, I think, has more of a margin for error because he's the bigger puncher, and I think he can actually outwork Aleem as well. So we'll see. It's a good fight. I'm not counting out Aleem, but I'll say it's like if I got to go out of 100, I got it like 65-35 in favor of Nakano. I think Aleem is up against it, But hey, that's what makes the fight game great. You get a chance to prove yourself, and he wins this fight. He gets his long-awaited title shot that he wanted all those years ago against guys like Stephen Fulton. So, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about Nakano versus Aleem, and what do you guys think about potential matchup between Nakano and Angelo and Aleem Angelo? Leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you guys stay tuned and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.